Hi everyone, this is Helen, and this is my midterm project for CIS 9467. The data you see here is from StatCrunch, comparing Marvel and DC box office numbers. So I decided to do Marvel versus DC because I recently got the new PS4 Spider-Man game, which brought up a conversation with my brother talking about Marvel and DC. So before this, I wasn't really much of a Marvel DC fan, didn't know much about them. And it turns out their fans think that so-and-so is better than the competitor or than the other company. So when I was looking for data, I came across this data set comparing Marvel and DC box office numbers. So I took this opportunity to do a dashboard and see what it shows me. So let's just get started. So you can see here the data is jumbled up. So we can make it look a little nicer by making it into a table. And to do that, we have to select one of the cells in the data set, click Insert, Table, and if your data set has headers, make sure that's checked, press OK. We could also resize the columns by having the mouse hover over the line between the two columns and double click, and that looks better. Next, I'm going to make pivot tables, and to do that, I'll just make sure the data is selected, press Insert, Pivot Table, New Worksheet, OK. So for this pivot table, I'll be comparing company with films, the number of films. Oh, but when I click Film, it's listing out the film. So to change that, we simply have to drag films over to values, and it summed it up for us. And I'm going to actually make a chart with this by going over here to Pivot Charts and make sure the selected cell is in the pivot table. So you could see Analyze and go to Pivot Chart. I'll choose this column. I'll put this in a dashboard spreadsheet by Control Copy and Control V. And let's just quickly rename this to Dashboard. Okay. We could change this chart up by making sure it's selected. Go into Design and change the color, which I'll just do right now, and the style. And I'll choose this one. So we could also get rid of the legend since we don't need it by clicking on it and delete with the keyboard. Change the title to Number of Movies by Company. Okay. I'll go back to data, make another pivot table. Okay. And this time looking at the year, the number of films made per year. So film and release. But this table is only showing me the year it's made. So to do that, we could just simply change the category it's in. So film would go over to values and release can go over to rows. And now we can see it's counting out the number of movies made that year. This time I'll make a chart, a line chart. Control Copy, Control V. And I'll change the design again to match the previous one. The legend, again, we don't really need, so we could delete that. Rename to Number of Movies per year. Okay. And make another pivot table. Insert Pivot Table. Okay. This time compare the company and how much they made from domestic and foreign box office numbers. And we can make a chart, a cluster column chart. Control Copy, Control V. And the legend we want this time, so we'll just keep that. But the title is missing, so we could just add that in by going to this chart elements, this plus right here, and clicking chart title, and rename this to domestic and foreign box office numbers. Okay, let's make it all cohesive with the color and the design. Okay, and let's make one last chart, pivot table with insert pivot table. Okay, and company with worldwide, so we can see the sum of those two, domestic and foreign, from before. And we can do a chart, a clustered bar, control copy, control V, and again the legend we don't really need, delete, rename to worldwide box office number. Design we could change to this one and the same color as before. Over here I want to add the labels so we can see the exact numbers. So we just go here and go to data label, select, and that is showing numbers. For the sum and domestic, the numbers aren't really round, so it doesn't look so nice, so I'll just leave that. So we could just, for this chart, we just compare the actual bar size difference. Same for this worldwide box office number chart. One last thing for this dashboard, I'm actually going to put slicers, which are visual boxes, filters. You could filter all those charts. So to do that, we'll have to click on one of these charts, insert, slicer, and this will determine what filters you want. So company will filter the companies over here, DC and Marvel. The film will filter the films. I'll move that and put it here. Let's move this a little over. And let's zoom out a bit so we can see everything. Okay. And let's make another slicer. Insert slicer with release date. Put that under on the bottom. And let's make one last one with film. Okay. So what's cool about these slicers is that if I filter something, it can filter all these charts. But to do that, we must connect these charts together, and we simply do that by clicking into the slicer, selecting the slicer, click Report Connections in Option, and select all these pivot tables. And let's change the color so it's all orange. We do that for each slicer. And we can also change the slicer a little bit. So for the first one, company, we can change it to 2 columns. So to do that, options, over here I have a option to change the number of columns. So we just go increase it. So we have 2 now. I'll do that for release date 2. Actually, let's give it a little space. Okay. And then I'll do that for films as well. Whoops. Options, and let's do 3. Okay, so now if I want to see DC, the numbers, I can see it's 27 films. And these were number of movies made that year, those years, with more domestic box office numbers compared to foreign. And the worldwide is that amount in value. And to clear the filter, I'll just click this. And if I want to say, let's see, I want to see a film made in, how many films are made in 2010, click this. I see 2 in DC, 2 in Marvel, total of 4. I can see the domestic and foreign is significantly higher than compared to the DC. Worldwide is off way better than DC. And if you look over here in the film filter, you can see the movies that were actually made. Right here it lists them. So I find that actually pretty cool, these filters. This is my dashboard for the project, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.